Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde and Shooter Hunt here with the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. Shooter, the 2020 Future Games are right around the corner. We've got some stuff on the site previewing the event, but before we do that, we're going to take a look back at 2019, and today we're talking about some position players.
Yeah, these rosters are coming in for the 20 squad, all these uncommitted underclassmen, very talented. So looking back at last year at some guys who came in with a little less recognition on the national stage who emerged as guys you must know.
One of those biggest guys we'll start off with that really jumped onto the national scene is a top prospect now when you're talking about the 2021 draft, and that's catcher Harry Ford out of Georgia. Ended up committing to Georgia Tech shortly after the event, probably that week after. Had a huge workout day showing off big-time defensive skills, and then there's some bat speed at the plate too, leading to some hope that he's going to hit down the road.
Yeah, that Georgia squad was stacked. So to see a guy like Harry Ford come in where it wasn't as much hype around him, but defensively he starts the day on workout day just throwing BBs down to second base. He got loose hips, can really receive. Then he hops up to the plate and in the twilight of the night on workout night, just sending balls way over the fence. And then he had a strong event throughout and has steadily grown throughout the last year.
Yeah, he certainly has. So definitely a guy that got onto the radar and still very much there. But moving on to the state of Texas, we got Max Bellew, who is committed to Alabama after last year's Future Games.
Yeah, and coming out of Texas where everything's bigger, everybody throws harder, everybody runs faster. Bellew, left-handed hitting outfielder who came in with, again, not as much hype around him. There are a lot of guys in Texas committed earlier. He comes in, runs a sub-760, hops up to the plate, and might have taken the best swings of the day during batting practice. Just a real smooth stroke, and he's gotten stronger. He's got a little more physical over the last year. And talking with Phil Haig, our scouting director in Texas, he continues to evolve as one of those stars in the 21 class.
Certainly does. Next one's a little bit weird for you. Most of these guys that we're talking about are 21s and 22s, kind of on the draft scene now or still coming. But David Calabresi, just because of the way things work in Canada, actually was eligible for the draft in 2020, and he was drafted, was committed to Arkansas, obviously not going there now as signing, but he was at the Future Games last year and was a big standout.
Oh, without a doubt. He can really run. He can swing it. And that entire Canadian team was packed with guys who were in contention for us to talk about here. We will be talking about draft time in the next couple of years. But Calabresi had a great showing there with Kemlo and George. And he rode that right to a nice little paycheck from Major League Baseball.
Certainly did. Next up, we've got a 2022 Stone Blanton, who has actually been standing out recently at some tournaments at Lake Point. Seems like every time I turn around, there's a tweet about him launching a ball deep. And, of course, he's committed to Mississippi State because those guys rake.
Yeah, and he's as physical as you're going to see. He's a tight end, linebacker. He was actually at the Future Games last year during two-a-days, and you could just tell he had been in two-a-days. It was hot. He's kind of dripping, but just the way he plays, hard all the time. The power continues to emerge. It's obviously physical for him there, and he's really coming into his own on the diamond.
Out of Ohio, we've got Logan Maxwell, committed to Texas Christian. He's a guy that also has stood out so far this summer in some tournaments, playing for Bo Jackson Elite. Big-time bat we're looking at there.
Yeah, and talking to a lot of coaches throughout the Future Games, you find those guys, and college coaches are going to tell each other, wow, I really like this guy. He was one that I was able to talk to guys like, this Maxwell kid gets a hit every time he's up. And he makes a play, and he plays hard all the time. And I saw him a couple of years ago with Bo Jackson Elite, and talking with the guy saying, who's this Maxwell kid? He can really swing it. He's a good athlete, and he just continues to succeed, and he's done great this summer as well.
And we couldn't talk about the Future Games without talking about a breakout prospect from the state of Wisconsin, as we talk about a lot. That state has a lot of talent. Ryan Taylor, a personal favorite of yours, committed to Central Florida.
Yeah, the infielders out of Wisconsin just keep rolling out there. And this is a really talented class on 21. He's shown well recently. He's a left-handed hitter, plays with the Sticks program up there, but 6'7" runner. I can't say enough about Ryan Taylor. I think he's going to be a really good one. I've been saying he's one of my sleepers there in the Midwest, so I like following what he's doing. Gains ground through impact. I really like Ryan Taylor.
He almost has you speechless. So wrapping things up here on position players, let's go to the state of Illinois with a 2022 in Alex Stanwich, who committed to Tennessee. And I remember this guy just lighting things up in the batter's box.
Yeah, and like Blanton, Stanwich was a team select guy, and it's electric. He showed up. He's a year younger. He's only 22. kind of just a wide-eyed and deer in headlights type. And then he starts launching balls, and they're flying off the barrel. And he's a freak runner. He can really throw. He hopped on the mound. I think he struck out the side in the one inning he did pitch. But it has continued this year. He's purely one of the top prospects in the Midwest, if not the top prospect in the Midwest for 22. And I'm expecting big things for him over the next year and a half, 2 years.
Excellent. So there you have it, a look back at 2019 future games with some position players. Stay tuned for preview coverage of the 2020 future games, as well as the next Coffee and Curveballs episode, where we will go over some pitchers from 2019. But as always, for Shooter Hunt, I'm Nathan Rohde. This was Coffee and Curveballs, and until next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.